Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz, and this is Ron's Bank Shot Breakdown. We're going to go over 5 college basketball games for Thursday, January 5th, 2023. Now, if you like what you see, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to put your college basketball picks in the comments section below. And if you're looking for my best bets, you can always find those at the Premium Picks tab at pickdawgz.com. Alrighty, let's get into it. Here are the games for Thursday in college basketball. First up, it's UAB and Florida Atlantic FAU. This one's going to be 7 o'clock Eastern on ESPN+. Both of these teams on win streaks going into this game. UAB has won 5 straight, and Florida Atlantic has won 11 straight games. To me, this is a game that's going to be decided down the stretch, I think, in the final few possessions, just like we saw in FAU's most recent game against North Texas. And North Texas was up in that game it was a 46-37 score with only 4:17 to go. But FAU found the comeback victory, and they have now won 11 straight, like I mentioned. But still, I think UAB's got to be the favorite to win this conference, as last year they took it down. They won the conference tournament, beating FAU in the first round, 80-66. And I know it's a new team here for FAU this season, but UAB brings a lot of players back from last year's roster. They're top 50 in KenPom for a reason, 31st in adjusted offensive efficiency, a very good offensive rebounding team, and I think they have enough here to keep this game close. You're getting a few points with the Blazers. I think it's going to be a coin flip game as far as who wins it outright towards the end, but I think getting the points, I think UAB at least covers. So give me UAB in the points here on the road. Next up, we see Western Kentucky hosting North Texas. This one's going to be 9 o'clock Eastern on CBS Sports Network. We've made a good amount of money fading Western Kentucky on this show. We're playing with house money right now, and I'm going to continue to fade Western Kentucky as the books have not made the necessary adjustment in terms of the spreads with WKU. I mean, this was a team that started the season 8-1. They had the win over Tulane, but overall played a really weak schedule in non-conference play. And, on paper, this team going into the season had a lot of big names. They brought in the transfer from Boise State and Emmanuel Acott, but they're not playing well on either side of the ball right now. They're on a 4-game losing streak, and North Texas is one of the better defensive teams, not only in the Conference USA, but in the country, and the offense, I think, is underrated. Yes, they like to slow things down, so they're not going to score a ton of points. They're ranked 363rd in average possession length on offense, but they're a very good offensive rebounding team. They take care of the basketball, and although their shooting numbers were not great to start the year, we're starting to see them have better performances. You look at their last game against FIU, North Texas 11 of 21 from 3, 52%. I like North Texas in this matchup. Give me the Mean Green laying the points. Next up, we see South Dakota State taking on North Dakota State. This one, 8 o'clock Eastern on ESPN+. South Dakota State is 7-8 overall this season, 2-1 in conference play. For most teams in the Summit League, that wouldn't be too bad, but for a team like the Jackrabbits, who have pretty much annual big expectations for their program, having a losing record and only a 1 game above 500 in conference play, not what you would want to see most seasons. And, even though this team lost a good amount of production from last year's roster, a team that made the NCAA tournament, there was still that, expectation that you were able to replace those players. You still brought back a few key guys, and including Zeke Mayo, who's one of the better shooters on this team. But overall, I still think South Dakota State is one of the better teams in the Summit League, and I got to give them credit. Even though they struggled in non-conference play, they played a really tough schedule. They played a lot of road games. I think that's going to help them prepare for Summit League action in games like these, in true road games and conference games. And you look at South Dakota State, when they've struggled against the number, they've really been, either they've been dogs and they've just gotten blown out, or when they're in the favorite role, they're laying too many points. We saw it against St. Thomas. They won 71-64, pretty convincing win, but they were laying 8.5, 9 points in that game. We're not able to cover the number. So we see a game like this against, a more even opponent on the road. You're not going to be laying a big number with South Dakota State. And for that reason, we're getting a good price with the Jackrabbits, who I think are still the much better team in this matchup. North Dakota State had mixed results in non-conference play, and I do think overall talent-wise that North Dakota State just can't compare in this matchup. So I know they're the home team, but they're just not good enough, in my opinion, to grab a win here. Give me the Jackrabbits. The experience coaching and the pedigree for this program, I think, puts them over the top. Give me the Jackrabbits on the money line. Next up, it's Bryant and Vermont. This one's going to be 7 o'clock Eastern on ESPNU. Vermont's in a similar spot to what we just talked about with South Dakota State, as it's a Vermont team that struggled at the beginning of the season. They were 2-7 to start the year overall, but it's a team and a program that's expecting to make the NCAA tournament every single season by winning that America East Conference. And, they have that rough start. They lost a lot of production from last year's team. so they have to replace some big name players, but now they're in pretty good form, and they played a really tough non-conference schedule. A lot of true road games, really all over the place. They played from games in neutral sites, games against Yale on the road, games against Merrimack, Dartmouth, Colgate, to also games on the road against USC and St. Mary's. So they've been all over the country. Now they finally get a home game, only their fourth home game of the season. And they played the 56th toughest non-conference schedule. You got a Bryant team here that's in a new conference, and they made the NCAA tournament last year themselves. But I still have some worries about that defense. And Vermont, one of the best defensive rebounding teams in the country. They're known for that at Vermont. They've usually been a top 10, top 20 team in defensive rebounding. Last year, number 1. So that's important against a Bryant team. It takes a good amount of low percentage shots, a lot of three-point jumpers. If you're getting those rebounds on the defensive end, it's really going to be tough for Bryant to have a lot of success, in my opinion, in this true road game. So, we're getting a value with teams like Vermont, with teams like South Dakota State, who had rough starts of the year, are now playing in pretty good form, and we're getting good prices with those teams because of those early season struggles. So give me Vermont in this matchup. I think they get the cover. Next up, we see a Rutgers-Maryland matchup. This one's 6:30 Eastern on Big Ten Network. Now, I have a feeling this is not going to be the most popular play, and that's okay. This is a video designed to just give out some information, talk some college basketball with you guys, and hopefully put you on some winners. But if you decide to fade me and you can beat the books that way, hey, more power to you. I just want both of us to cash some tickets this college basketball season. But, in this game, I do like Maryland plus the points, as I think it's a classic letdown spot for Rutgers coming off that big-time upset win over Purdue, and it's a classic bounce back spot for Maryland, who was playing good basketball this season. I mean, they started 8-0 overall, 1-0 in conference play. They had that win over Illinois, but now they're coming off that big blowout loss to to Michigan, 81-46. But I do think that playing Rutgers as a favorite, and especially when you're laying a good amount of points, is a little bit worrisome, a little bit scary, because this is a Rutgers team that's great defensively, but they're pretty slow defensively. They like to slow things down, and the offense is also not the greatest. It's ranked 110th right now in adjusted offensive efficiency. So you get a lot of close games, and we saw that 65-64 final score for Rutgers win over Purdue. We've seen some other low-scoring games and some closer games for Rutgers this season when they're playing those tougher teams. Now, when they're playing teams like Columbia and Sacred Heart and UMass Lowell, we've seen some blowout victories. But when you're playing a team like Maryland, who's still ranked 37th in KenPom, a good defensive team themselves who likes to slow things down, I think we can. This game sets up to be a pretty low-scoring, close, competitive game, and for that reason, I think Maryland has a shot to win it outright. But I certainly want to have those points with the Terrapins just in case. So give me the points here with Maryland in this one to end the night. And that's it. Those are the games for Thursday, January 5th. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. And don't forget to put your college basketball picks in the comments section below. Again, if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at Pick Dawgz Premium. As always, this is Ron Romanelli. Good luck.